Welcome back. As you can see, I found my intro video. I stopped posting, so of course I stopped paying for StreamYard. And when I got it back, my intro video was no longer attached, so I had to find it. And we are back. So today I am going to talk to you about peppercorn leasing and what it is. I'm going to let this young lady explain it to you.
Prince Andrew lives in a palace on a peppercorn lease. And a peppercorn lease is from the medieval times, and it's like a lease agreement where instead of paying rent all year, you just once a year give your landlord one peppercorn. It's basically a show to just to hold the lease. And I learned about this, and the only thing I could think of was this is one of those things that is trashy if poor people do it, classy if rich people do it. Because what mean he pays one peppercorn a year to live in a palace? This man has gotten his royal title stripped from him, and he's living in a palace on a peppercorn lease. What is wrong with this world?
I know, I totally agree. When I was on social media, there are so many people talking about this. I have another video for you.
Estate in Norfolk. How he got the mark on his face isn't known. But today he's also facing bruising revelations that he made extra money from subletting properties in Windsor while paying no rent himself. A report by the National Audit Office has revealed Andrew Mountbatten Windsor rented out 3 cottages in the grounds of his former home, Royal Lodge. But it says we do not know what rent was charged. We already knew Andrew paid so-called peppercorn rent for living in Royal Lodge, a technical term meaning nothing. But it's now also emerged the King pays rent in 2 royal palaces for Andrew's daughters, Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice, even though they're not working royals.
It shows yet again the royals maximising money for themselves at public expense. The cottages Andrew let out belong to the Crown Estate. The rent should have been paid to the Crown Estate, and which are to benefit the public at large through the Treasury, not into Andrew's pockets.
Andrew's last public appearance with the royal family was at the Duchess of Kent's funeral in September. Soon after, he was ordered out of Royal Lodge over his links to the disgraced paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. He was entitled to sublet the properties under the terms of his lease, but there's no doubt it's raised eyebrows. Buckingham Palace say they're grateful for the report, which they say is in line with the royal household's commitment to transparency. And they say they hope it will clarify a number of points regarding royal properties. But for many, it raises even more questions.
So, to be clear, Andrew hasn't broken any rules at all, but the fact that we now know about this and the fact that he was collecting this money personally, it does raise questions about this arrangement, about why the money went to him, why it didn't go directly to the Crown Estate, because the Crown Estate sends all its profits to the Treasury for the public good.
On the streets of Windsor, there were mixed views.
I like the royal family. I like what they do, mostly, but I think they should fund their expenses themselves.
I think they pay their way. What they pay out of their own money is their business.
We would like to know where the funding is going for them and where it's coming from. Is it coming from taxpayer? We would like to know. Nothing against it, but it's a good knowledge.
There's no suggestion in the report that Andrew has done anything illegal. But once again, he doesn't look good. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
She is so right. What happened to Andrew's eye? Is anybody talking about that? Do people care? Like, what is going on with Andrew's eye? Did they take him in the back and are they trying to silence him? There is so much going on. There are so many unanswered questions that it's crazy. So, of course, I had I hadn't a clue what peppercorn was, so I researched it, and as you can see, it's like literally pepper. So, like they stated, they are paying nothing to lease mansions. And they are eating Andrew's behind up, but Andrew is not the only person paying peppercorn lease. I'll let Jeannie Bond explain this to you.
There is a public demand and a media demand for clarity on all the other properties, including, for example, Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Much admired, important members of the royal family, but they too operate on the basis of a peppercorn rental in their vast mansion. They did put money up front, as did Andrew. It's clear we should say that. But they also rented out part of their property until a few years ago. And what they did with those profits, we don't know. And the point of all this is these are part of the Crown Estate. The Crown Estate is an independent commercial operation which must be run for profit, and that profit goes directly back to the Treasury. In other words, it's public money. And that is why there is public interest in exactly who pays what.
I'm not sure if I was supposed to show that video. But anywho, let's move on. So, as you heard, Andrew is not the only person paying peppercorn lease. There are other people that are on the ground who are living in a mansion and paying nothing. The taxpayers are paying everything. So, after hearing all of this, I wanted to take it back to the beginning because, I am a supporter of Harry and Meghan, and I wanted to know why they got kicked out of Frogmore Cottage. I want to know how they received Frogmore Cottage and all the little things in between. So let's get started. So Frogmore Cottage was a wedding gift from Queen Elizabeth II. Harry and Meghan, they were married in 2018. So as we all know, they had to renovate Frogmore Cottage. Harry and Meghan invested £3.3 combined to semi-detached homes into a single 5-bedroom family residence. After stepping back as working royals in 2020, the couple reimbursed the sovereign grant for the full cost of the refurbishment. As we know, the eviction, King Charles officially requested the couple vacate the premises in 2023. The property has been empty for 3 years while the royal family evaluate how they're going to use the property in the future. So the current status. Reports indicate that the Crown Estate is assessing options to undo the couple's extensive additions and potentially subdivide the cottage back into smaller staff. So I'm thinking it took Harry and Meghan £3.3 million or $3.3 million, which is 2.4, I believe, million pounds to renovate this home. And now King Charles is talking about breaking everything down and redoing it. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So I wanted to learn more. So before Harry and Meghan moved in Frogmore Cottage was a mess, right? It was used by the Windsor estate workers. It was originally built in 1790 as 2 separate dwellings. The Grade 2 listed buildings was eternally or internally subdivided into 5 separate apartments and was described as it was pretty bad. It wasn't a place where humans should live in before undergoing a 2.4 million pound structural overhaul. The pre-renovation property lacked the luxury amenities associated with modern royal residence. Its historic segmented layout included, what did it include? 5 separate apartments. The interior was a hodgepodge of walls, stairs, and individual units used by palace staff and estate workers. This is where the Queen's at that time grandson was living. He was living in the staff quarters. Moving on, the exterior, while retaining a classic 19th century stucco central porch and sash windows, the exterior grounds were heavily overgrown and lacked the extensive landscaping and high fencing needed for privacy. There was the infrastructure was decaying. The property required massive restorative work, including new ceiling beams, plumbing, structural repairs, and an entirely new heating system. To transform the space into a single family home for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, renovations knocked down walls to half the numbers of rooms from 10 to 5. Because they wanted to make it an eco-friendly energy unit, they added new fireplaces and they also renovated the kitchen. And this is what the home looked like. I'm not sure if that's what it looked like or that's what it looks like now. There are homes that's down the street from my house that looks like this. And these people are middle class. So the 2.4 million pound structural renovation of Frogmore Cottage was initially funded by the British taxpayers via the sovereign grant, but Prince Harry later repaid the full amount following public scrutiny. So Frogmore Cottage is considered modest. It is actually behind Frogmore House, which is massive. Now, look at Frogmore Cottage. Look at the fireplace. Look at the paint. It looks like it needed new painting. You don't see a pathway where people can walk. It looks like there's a forest. It looks like a ghost lived in the house. People from a long time ago, their ghost is living in that house. It looked creepy. So like I stated, the sovereign grant funded 2.4 million pounds, and that covered structural repairs, including installing new ceiling beams, replacing floors, full internal rewiring, new water and gas mains, and an eco-friendly heating system. The private funding was out of pocket. Harry and Meghan, they paid for it personally. They paid for the internal fixtures, the high-end design elements by a firm called Charles and Company. They provided the furniture and custom additions like a home yoga studio. I'm not sure if that's factual, but I got this from Good Morning America. So the full repayment, following their decision to step back from royal duties, Prince Harry issued a lump sum payment to the sovereign grant to cover the entire cost of the renovation. Come on, Harry. They had that money to pay back all of the money that the British media, the people who live in Britain or the UK, I remember how they talked about that renovation every day. There were multiple articles about Harry and Meghan renovating Frogmore Cottage, although before they moved in, it wasn't fit for any human to live in. So whether Harry and Meghan moved into Frogmore Cottage or not, they had to renovate it. So this is the big house. This is Frogmore Estate. Take a look at it. Harry and Meghan did not live in this house. They lived in the servant quarters. They lived in the back. Let's continue. So US Weekly, they said that Prince Andrew is under fresh scrutiny after it was revealed that he charged rent on cottages within his Windsor estate despite living rent-free. So Andrew is living rent-free, and his daughters are also living rent-free because according to People, Charles is paying for Eugenie and Beatrice to live on the palace grounds. And this, if you can see the picture, this is Prince Andrew's sublet property. This is what he's leasing to people who work for him. Take a look at it. While he's living in a mansion free. They say he's paying peppercorn rent. So basically that's free, right? It's like pepper. Let me continue. So Beatrice and Eugenie, they are non-working royals. They get luxury palace homes subsidized by King Charles' private cash. There's zero outrage, zero calls to strip their titles. And let's not forget, William and Kate pocket £500 taxpayer funded to refurb their new forever home. I think there's been like 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know, but there's been several with no outrage. Think about that. Why is there so much outrage when it comes to Harry and Meghan, but there's no outrage when it comes to the extended royal family? So I wanted to know, okay, so King Charles is paying for Beatrice and Eugenie. So I wanted to find out what is the sovereign grant? Because I live in America. I have an idea, but I'm old and I can't remember everything. So I had to do research. So it says, the private cash King Charles III uses to fund the housing for Princess Beatrice at St. James Palace and Princess Eugenie at Ivy Cottage at Kensington Palace come from the Privy Purse, which is primarily generated by the net revenues of the Duchy of Lancaster. Okay, so the Duchy of Lancaster is an ancient vast land and property portfolio held in trust for the reigning sovereign, meaning that King Charles did not work for this. Its assets include agricultural land, commercial properties, and developments across England and Wales. Unlike state properties such as the Crown Estate, which goes directly to the public treasury, the net profit, Unlike state property such as the Crown Estate, which goes directly to the public treasury, the net profits of the Duchy of Lancaster go directly to the monarch to cover both official duties and private expenses. While the king covers their rents privately, the actual maintenance and upkeep of the palaces are funded by the public via the sovereign grant. So there you have it. The British people is paying for everything. They're paying for it. So this is interesting, don't you think? Isn't this interesting? The more you know, the more you're looking at these people sideways, like, how are you allowed to get away with all of this, and why are the people allowing this? So, like I said earlier, Harry and Meghan felt that their wedding gift will be their forever home if they decided to go back to the UK to visit, because it was a wedding gift. Harry couldn't see that choosing to stop being a working royal would mean that he would be deprived of his royal residence. Harry took it as a cruel rejection, a painful reminder of all that he felt when his father fought with his mother during their long, drawn out, and painful divorce. Look at Prince Harry and Meghan, and look at that ghostly looking house. Let me continue. I had to take a break because my throat was dry. I had to get a drink of water. So while there are murmurs that Harry and Meghan want to return to the UK with their kids, which I haven't heard anything like that. Have you? Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, if the Duke's security is reinstated following the ongoing Home Office review, it now seems unlikely that they will get to stay at Frogmore, with the palace having decided to reverse all changes made to the estate. It will be stripped of all traces of Harry and Meghan. Aside from spending $3.2 million on renovation, the prince also spent $67,000 to install a copper bathtub in the estate, which I'm not sure if that's true or not. But now all remnants of the couple will be wiped away. Can you believe that? What did Harry and Meghan do to make them want to wipe all remnants or anything associated with them? They want to get rid of it. What did they do? A royal insider has finally revealed what pushed King Charles to evict his darling boy, Prince Harry, and his wife, Meghan, from the Frogmore Cottage. According to a new report, the Duke of Sussex's criticism of Queen Camilla and his bombshell memoir, Spare, is said to have played a major role in Charles's decision to remove the Sussexes. I can't talk. My throat is still dry. But because Harry wrote the book Spare and he talked about Camilla, Charles decided to kick Harry out of Frogmore Cottage. Now, since we are on the topic of Camilla, in Spare, Harry talked about the invisible contract, and I want you guys to think about it. Camilla is the queen consort, right? Why don't we know anything about her children, her grandchildren, her cousins? She is the queen, but they don't talk about anything associated with Camilla. Nothing. You don't find that to be odd? They are talking about Harry and Meghan, who lives 5,000 miles away, but you hear nothing about Camilla. So that leads me to believe that Camilla is the ringleader. Camilla's the ringleader. Camilla's friends with most of the people in the British media because they talk about Charles, they talk about Will and Kate sometime, and they talk about others, but they will not talk about Camilla, and they will not talk about Anne. Think about that. Anywho, look at Andrew and look at that picture. Take a close look. So the LBC, this was written by Jacob Paul, and he stated that J.E., personal assistant, has claimed she had dinner at Buckingham Palace in Prince Andrew private rooms and went to his daughter Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. So there are a lot of nasty people who was on the Windsor grounds, but they're not talking about wiping things or getting rid of things or the remnants of nasty people. But they want to get rid of things associated with Harry and Meghan. Why aren't the people talking about this? That is crazy to me. But I'm not going to dwell on it any longer. It is what it is. Karma is something else, and they will get their comeuppance. But anywho, it's been 27 minutes and my throat is dry. It was nice going over this information with you, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.